Okay, back for another one. Hi. Hope you guys are going to enjoy this. It's going to be Madam Web from Spider-Man. Popping in my throat drop so I don't cough through the whole thing because my allergies are bugging me a little bit today. Just don't want to get in the way of that. This is a hybrid version of the modern Madam Web right before she became Julia Carpenter, the second Spider-Woman, and possessed her, or however she took her over. She's going to be white-haired. This is her in her cosmic state where she has the white hair, but she looks a little bit younger and has de-aged herself. And is sitting on her arachnid throne. This is the woman that caused the Spider-Verse to happen. So if you're a fan of those books, this is the character that did it. She was trying to save the universe through Spider-Man and ended up crossing over multiple realities. So pretty messed up. I've always found her to be one of those more annoying characters. Whenever she showed up, I was always like, oh no, what's going to happen? Kind of thing, because every time she did, Spider-Man's life went into turmoil, unlike any other character that he crossed. I mean, the Beyonder didn't even mess it up that much with Secret Wars. It was insane. So, there you have it nonetheless. A friend of mine once called her the Cosmic Mafia because every time she shows up, she just yanks people out of whatever and puts them in whatever situation she wants them to be in, and there's no getting out of it. It just is what it is. Always found that fascinating, because she does the same thing to the Spider-Women. This shoulder is going to look a little massive until I detail it out, but what it is she's I've got her arm extended out, and you'll see in just a second when I trim it down. I've got it extended out here so that it'll go over here to where she has the forearm laying down here and then the arm coming up for the hand right here on her chair. That is the reason for that. So it looked a little wonky there for a second, that's why. This is a very cool character to draw because she has a great dynamic with all the sleek long lines that she has in her costume. Very easy to manipulate. Popping in those clavicles. And no, I don't know all of the bones and stuff. I don't try. I am an artist, not a doctor. Not a physician. I'm not going to go that far. However, if I was a perfectionist at it, I would definitely go further. But today we're not going to do that. Not today. This is one of the arachnid chair or throne legs, right where she has her arms sit. These two limbs stick out like this, and they protrude into fangs. So she was a time traveler. To answer your question there, Matt, from what I understand, she was a time traveler and became a cosmic being by stepping out of time too often and then becoming outside of it as a cosmic being. So that was what I was told from Marvel sources. So we have to take them at that and go from there. She wasn't always cosmic. She was actually part of the Spider-Woman line, and she came from a timeline that was supposed to be in peril, and she made some kind of arrangement to where she changed her powers from the Spider-Man style powers to this cosmic being, and that's where she's at. That's as far as I know with it. You guys can do more research and go from there, but as it goes right now, to answer your question, though, that's what I've got. I'm going to hard edge that thumb. I know it looks a little awkward because it's like, why did you hard edge that thumb when you didn't have to? Well, the reason I did that was because of the fact that she has very bony hands. And sometimes they look elegant and graceful. Sometimes, in certain positions they look creepy and bony. And that's all part of it. So in this case, that's just where I'm going with it. Again, I'm drawing in these joints here for this throne. Because it's always some kind of metal. These are gold or silver, and they always are posable for her. She can move her hands with them and whatnot, and vice versa, so they move with her. So we got that going on. Now we've got her baseline in place. I'm going to put in her rib cage here. Right here. And again, as I told you guys now throughout the entire series, be sure not to monkey with that too much, because if you try to get too realistic with women's ribs, it over defines them and makes them look too lean or too gangly, or makes them look creepy and drawn up because it makes them to look too thin, and then that takes that that sensual curve away when you start going in here and monkeying with all that. So leave that alone, leave it open, and you know, a good colorist will come in there and save you with it. Now this is sticking out where her hand is in the foreground, and this is her thigh where she's got her legs crossed right here in the chair, and we've got that her, what would be her left leg over the top here, crossing away from us. And then I will shade in this part right here. I'm going to put a little thicker line here so I don't cross over and chew this up too bad, because I don't want to have too many blowouts. Which is a tattoo reference, by the way. But if you don't know what that is. But I just don't want to tear up the outside line too much for the other side of the thigh and for this ridge of the chair. So I'm just thickening that up because I want to keep it super clean, because that's going to be metal. And it also separates from, it also separates her from the shadow of the chair. And it's going to separate that arm as well. So there we go. Now she's sitting inside that chair, which is weird too, because it's just a big metal bulb, and it's got this ridge right here. That's the top of it, and I'll leave that alone there because that's going to be metal colored, more or less metallic. But put this slightly behind the shoulder here. And the way these pieces segment, it almost looks like it's bone, but I know for a fact it's metal, so it just segments that way. It's the technology segmenting into the way it's built, and it's completely posable. Strange stuff, but so is she, so there you go. And just so you guys know, whenever I draw stuff like this, I look at this as a ball and socket joint, which is what it is. I look at it as there's a ball right here on the end of this, inside of this wrap right here. This snaps over it. This is the socket, and this is the ball on the end of this that goes right in there. So now it's got full movement and motion. If you can see through that, you can actually put that stuff up there. Just a drawing tip for whoever they want it. I know this isn't a drawing class, but just throwing it out there. That's how I do it, because I get asked about that all the time. How do you overlap stuff and make it look real, like it can move? Well, that's exactly how, right there. I'm going to thicken that hair up right there on the bottom, just so it pops over that just a little bit. Now these tines will be the poles for the back of the chair, because she's got an arch back here that is made up of web pieces and big poles and tines. In this incarnation, to keep it clean, I'm going to keep them as straight lines or pipes rather than drawing all the webbing, and I'll make the web the chains that go between. So we'll try that one. There's this big bulb on the back of the chair that goes into this metal seat that goes behind her head as the headrest, which, if you know the Terminator series, you'll know that the T-1000 was a morphing liquid metal. That's basically what this chair does. It morphs to her needs and her requirements. So it moves with her body as she leans a certain way or whatever, so she never falls out of it and whatnot. Okay, sorry my hand's in the way here. I'm trying to hold this card because this one is one of those that's just it's got a rougher texture to it, and I never know until I get drawing on it what it's going to be like. And when I do the layout, I use a lighter pencil so it doesn't snag or dig in. But in this case, this one's biting a little bit. I can feel it, so I'm holding the card a little more. Got to know your materials. You don't pay attention to that stuff, you'll rip something up. Okay, I'm going to go right under here. I'm going to put this little drop shadow right here because it's behind her head and whatnot, and I want it to look really, really slick. And I'm going to put that groove line right there. Got one more of these on this side. Okay, there comes the fang out of the end of it, or the tip as it were. They could be fangs as well because they're on the end, but I don't know if that's what you call them. But yeah, they're the points, the tips, the end of the arm extension there. So it's a big spiky bit. So now I'm going to go in and cut in these arms on her suit. Like that. They have kind of an odd venom shape to them, but they're fun, so whatever works. That one goes off that way, off the ribs, and then there's another one right here. I don't want to drive it into that thumb. Go ahead and carve that out. And then they come down around here and they peek off the sides. And I have them doing that on both sides. And I've got the edge of that drop shadow right there. So yeah, I've got that right there where that tip is. And then right under here. Comes down, and we won't see the middle where it runs down the other side of the skirt because, like I said, I've got her legs crossed, so it won't show that other side. Okay. We will run that up there. And like I said, this is kind of a Venom offshoot design in the way that works. I'll darken that line up. I'm going to take that little nip right there off the end, because that was strange. I overshot it a little bit. That's funny the way I shadowed that. Makes this little face kind of thing. And if you look at it from another angle, it's almost like a frog squished there. There's the body, there's the arms, there's the legs. Oh wow. Okay. I did not expect to do that. Wow. So, there you go, an image within an image. Oh my goodness. Gonna come in here really tight and cut her nose. Put a small shadow under there. Small lips, because she's always had small lips. No matter, whenever you see her in the comic books, you'll always notice that she has super small lips. And she has this weird wet-haired look too. Very slick. If you heard that ding, that was me moving my footstool out of the way of my table. Because sometimes I like to go old school and sit up on my stool for, you know, saving my back and whatnot. Just depends. Right now I am in my very comfortable armchair. My executive chair that I sit in. I got told by a mentor of mine once that I was a slacker for using a chair with arms and a back on it. Real artist draw from a stool. Okay, this is going to be... Now, I'm going to leave this open because this is going to be the red suit, and I don't want to mess with this because she's always in highlight for some reason. I'm just going to put in a couple of finishing details here for the purpose of tension on the fabric, where her leg is, but other than that, I am leaving this very clean. Yeah, that's about it. I will put the shadow on her finger here for the underside of that, and a little bit right here where the pad of her hand would be. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, because this is metal and this is a solid bright red, we're going to leave that open and I'll color it for you. That is where we're at. What am I filming it with, Dave? I have I have an apparatus that I built over my desk. That I have an LG, oh goodness, I've forgotten what type it is. It's an LG webcam, and it is a 50 megapixel per second. It's a little bit mid-class. I mean, they've got them up to, I think, something along the lines of 80 megapixels per second now. But this one is about $120 at your local Staples. I believe Hobby Lobby carries them. I believe that Office Depot carries them as well. I just got this last year or year before, and like I said, it's 50 megapixels. I have it posted on this, clipped to this stand that I built, and it shoots right on top of my drafting table. So hope that answers the question for you. But yeah, that is where we're at with her. I'm going to leave that alone, and I'll color that in, like I said, since he's metallic and whatnot, and then I'll go in and put in the finishing webbing behind there after I shade it. I think we're going to call it a day with that one. So if you guys have any more questions for me, go ahead and post them. and I'll get to them as soon as I see them once the video's up, and I'll try to answer them the best I can for you. Anything before we haul off? Thanks, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, if you want to know any questions about any of this, comic drawing or whatever, let me know, and I'll be glad to tell you my method on it. But yeah, I think we're gonna call it a wrap, kiddos, and let's see what's tomorrow. I am still gonna be doing this, and the Vulture from Spider-Man. I'm going classic. I am not doing the new one. I don't like the new one from the movie. No offense to the movie universe. I love those characters, but I just don't know if it's going to be functional on the comic book page yet. I have to see it before I make that decision. Right now, I'm sticking with the classic, and we will have the Vulture for you guys tomorrow, and it'll be about 4:30 my regular time. I'm about an hour difference today because of the fact that I just had some stuff going due to a big site launch that I have and a new comic book coming out. I'll let you guys check that out later. I'm not going to pitch that here, but anyway, take care. I'll talk to you tomorrow.